Hey everybody, I am streaming earlier than usual, so I apologize if you were sort of counting on this at a certain time today and weren't able to make it. Yeah, just the weekend had some plans and couldn't really move things around too much. So sorry about that. Actually. No, no. Darn it, made a mistake. Hey, Jesus, how are you? Nice to see somebody in the chat, even though I'm not even close to when I normally do this. Hello, Royfield Brown. I was listening to English football. My day plans are all over the place now. Oops. That's me, just ruining folks' plans left and right. Well, nice to see some people in here. Thank you very much for showing up. All right. Hello, Anja. Things are okay. Next time, can we have more warning, please, sir? Well, I did mention last night in the chat, and then the thing that I might have to go earlier, and then I posted about an hour ago on social media and the Comic Tropes Facebook page. So I tried to do my best, but thank you for showing up anyway. All right. The prompt for today was furious. And no, I know you're joking, don't worry. So, I am a fan of the not very good Fast and Furious movies. I think that they're a blast, especially right about by part 5. Then things became pretty hilarious. So, when I saw the word furious, this is what popped into my head. And I'm going to try to work on a vehicle. I've been sitting around with my ruler, getting this thing ready. Did a sketch I was happy with, light boxed it to simplify it, and I'm going to cover it up with some deep shadow. Let's see how it turns out. Royfield says that he loves what I do. Well, that's kind of you. Thank you. Do that a little too fast for this poor little brush. Started to break. So, is everybody having an alright weekend? It's pretty rainy here, but it hasn't rained in a long time, so we need it. And the reason I'm doing this now instead of in a couple hours is couple hours I'm going to hang out with some friends. So socializing is important to me right now. So is keeping busy. Those are the two of the ways that I fight depression. Keeping busy and socializing. Anja says, what other characters would have matched today's prompt? Hulk, maybe? Yep, thought about Hulk. Thought about Ghost Rider. Something about that, like Furious. Yeah, all right, Ghost Rider. But maybe I'll use those another time. We'll see. I couldn't. I don't know. The word just if it prompts a strong reaction in me, I'm gonna draw it. So that's sort of how I've been treating this exercise. You know, I drew Screech one day because I was just like, yeah, all right, the prompt is Screech. I'm thinking about Screech. I'm gonna draw a goofy version of him. And I'm just trying to mix like the first thing that comes into my head with like what have I not really drawn lately? Like what's something a little different that could like, help me learn a little bit, and what's something that could be visually interesting that I haven't done as much before. What will help me with my inking techniques so that I become a little more consistent. That's my thought process. Jesus says that his week was all right. Glad to hear that. Mine was not, but so what? My fiance is currently out getting art supplies for herself at a store, and I said, could you pick me up a certain set of technical pens? So she may return before I'm done here and give me some new pens to work with. We'll see. That would be nice. Don't know that I necessarily have a lot to say, so if anybody's got questions or anything, just to get a conversation going here, feel free to reach out. Because at a certain point, I'm going to really get lost in the detail. The internet is an amazing thing. If you were to have told me I'd have fun watching someone draw, answering random questions, I would have laughed 3 years ago. I agree. It is strange that that can sort of be relaxing and fun. Oh, hi, Charles. Nice to have you here. Let's see. So does everybody know what car I'm driving or want to know? So I'm drawing a very specific real-world car. Hello, Sky America. Nice to have you here. I'll give you guys a moment if anyone wants to guess or just comment if they know on what this car is. But it's a very specific model. Hello, Geek Workshop. Nice to have you here. Didn't necessarily expect to have as many folks as have shown up, so thanks. That's pretty cool. I'm going to switch to a smaller pen because I'm realizing that these technical details I'm going for are coming out a little muddier than I expected. So that's just something that comes, I guess, with practice, understanding what each pen does. If you folks want to see somebody that's quite talented at both drawing and inking, there's an artist named Gabriel Rodriguez. He drew the book Lock and Key, if you've heard of that, and he frequently posts on Twitter, like a nice close-up of inking, and he's got amazing skills. So you can see like what kind of a pen he's using and what he does to vary things up. Let's see. Oh my gosh, Harry Partridge is here. Harry, thank you so much for stopping by for a moment. I hope I don't bore you. Wow, that's a treat. Better not get starstruck. I better not. Come back to that. So I'm just sort of jumping around the page, trying to keep myself interested, and when I get really bored, I'm going to ink in this massive Vin Diesel noggin that I sketched in the corner. See if I can make him maybe a little dumber looking. Not to say that the gentleman himself is dumb. I wouldn't know. I've never met him. He tends to play some dumb characters. Has there been anything revolutionary in comics industry since the 2000s? Revolutionary. Let me think for a moment. No, I think the closest thing you could argue is the fact that comics have become digital, that you can purchase them and read them in a digital format now. But I don't think the industry has figured out how to crack that nut properly. I don't think it makes sense to be charging people the same price on a digital comic that they charge for the print edition. I think it should cost less, like music does. And so if they get that right, if they start fixing how that they approach that, then people will look back and go, oh yeah, in the 2000s, that's when they created digital comics. But that's the closest I can think of in terms of moving anything forward in the industry. I mean, I guess you could argue that there's a little bit more focus on importing comics from Europe and Asia, but I don't know. Nothing really blows me away industry. What? Darn it. Industry-wise. All right. So I'll do this. Made a small mistake, so I'm going to keep making that mistake in a uniform way so that it adds some depth instead of looking like a skewy line. Hello, Keith Thomas. Let's see. I watched your Mobius trope yesterday. Can you do one on Milo Manara? Sure, that'll just be folks jacking off for half an hour. All right, I'm joking, clearly. Let me think about it. Maybe. I've got a lot of ideas right now, so I'm kind of backed up with ideas, but maybe someday. He's clearly a very talented artist, and I read stuff like Druna and that in heavy metal back in the 80s, 90s, somewhere in that vicinity. So, maybe. Anybody else out there working on anything for Inktober? Got any cool drawings that you're pecking away at, like I am? A couple of you shown me some stuff on Twitter that you're working on, and honestly, like, wow, some of you are exceptionally talented. It's a pleasure to see everybody else's artwork. All right, let's see. Practicing moving my whole arm instead of just my wrist. We'll see how this goes. Nah. I'm still having trouble getting used to trying to use my whole arm. Have more control. But I'm trying. This pen's almost had it. Hopefully Chrissy comes back with new pens soon. Gotta work slower. I'm gonna use up these pens to the last of their life. I'm like some sort of horrible vampire, slowly killing them off. Maybe that'll be Seth Rogen's next hit film, an animated movie about inking pens and the terrible lives that they have getting used by creators. And then they'll all have sex and we'll all laugh and go, wow. Nailed it. The Life of a Pen. That'll be what it's called. Life of a Pen. Let's see. Royfield Brown says that he disagrees with me. The change to comics since 2000s has been the success of the movies. Marvel comic characters are more important on the silver screen than in comics now. Chrissy popped into the chat. Yeah, I'd love some of the pens. Thank you. That would be wonderful. Royfield says that comics circulation is down, and they seem to be using the comics as a platform to experiment and to push diversity than to make money. P.S. Diversity is good. I agree with half of that. They definitely are using their comics to tell stories for using in movies. There's no question that they're doing that. Thank you so much. Some new pens. I love it. I really appreciate that because this one's had it. Oh, good. But the one thing I think, I don't think that it's diversity and stuff that's harming comic circulation. I really don't. I think it's the fact that you can get comics digitally, and I think a lot of people just don't want to pay the full cover price of like $4 to $5 for an issue that you'll finish within 15 minutes. I think that I think that there's a lot of piracy that's going on. I really do. So you know, take it with a grain of salt. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that that's what's affecting circulation, is people not going to the comic stores and ordering in the same volume that they used to. Obviously, there's multiple factors in anything. There's a lot of variables, but that's what I think is the key one. I really do. I think that like just people aren't. Nobody wants to pay $5 for a 15-minute experience. Milosh says, "Glad I'm not too late. Are you drawing Blade's car?" I was about to say no, but now I'm not sure. Nobody has guessed. This is a 1970 Dodge Charger. And the prompt was furious, so I've got Vin Diesel's big noggin here, and at some point I'll have him say something just so funny that you're all going to have trouble breathing. Like, it's going to be quite a reaction, trust me. Like, I can't build it up enough how funny in the moment I'm going to be when I put something, some words coming out of his mouth. Oh, you're going to want to stick around, because that's going to be the last thing I do, and you're going to be laughing really hard. But I think that Blade may have driven a Dodge Charger as well. I'm trying to remember, because that movie was all the way back in 1999, and I haven't really seen it lately. Lobo says, "I happened to watch the Wonder Woman movie for the first time today, and it was really enjoyable." I agree. Blade drove a 1968 Dodge Charger. So pretty close. There weren't massive changes between 68 and 70. That was pretty close. Pretty close. It's somewhere in Vancouver today, but I can't find it. Oh, the car is? That's cool. Vancouver's not far. If you find it, let me know, and I'll come up. Harry asks, "Chris, do you think that comics written and drawn by the same person tend to suffer compared to those worked on by two or more people? Do any great examples come to mind?" Comics written by one person suffer compared to collaboration. I'd almost argue the opposite. Now, I don't think that it's consistent. I think that a lot of creators out there, they can't commit to writing and drawing a comic themselves. Not everybody can do that. But what I'm thinking of are creators that do it all themselves and have a singular vision that they can achieve. And I would argue that, you know, somebody like, well, this is Japanese comics, but I still think it counts, Naoki Urasawa. His comics, he's writing and drawing them, and they're incredible. You know what? Hold on. Now I'm going to take that back. I'm going to walk it back. I was about to start, yeah, you mean written and drawn by the same person. I was about to start giving credit to various creators in Japan and Europe that are both the writer and the artist. However, they use uncredited assistants a lot of the time to do backgrounds, colors, things like that, lettering, shading. So maybe that isn't fair. Maybe collaborations truly are superior. I can tell you that I personally enjoy doing a collaboration more than I enjoy trying to just execute everything myself. I just really like working with other people. And now I'm thinking about it, and there have been a lot of really amazing teams in comics, and I'm having trouble thinking of an American comics creator that kind of did it all themselves. So yeah, that's a really interesting question. Milosh says you have 900,000 subs. Well, he must be talking to Harry because there's no way I have that. Yeah. Harry is amazing. If you're not familiar, Harry is an animator who seems to do it all himself and produces incredible results. If you don't know about him, wow, today is a treat for you because I strongly recommend you check out his channel ASAP. You're going to subscribe. You're going to love it if you don't already know. It's an interesting question, Harry, that I feel like I can't. I have to really sit down and like think of specific examples to determine which is better. I think at its core, comics are a bit of a collaborative medium, even if one person is in the driver's seat. Because I'm drawing a car, driver's seat. I think a lot of times the writer is driving everything. Could be the editor in some situations, etc. But they don't do it all themselves. They comics really require a team in a way that very few mediums do. However, it's a small team, so you've got closer to a singular vision than you can get with film or television, plays, other mediums like that. Just about everything except novels. But comics is a visual medium, so I was comparing it to other visual mediums. I've got a not great song going through my head right now. I will try not to sing it. It's Belinda Carlisle, Circle in the Sand. Not even my favorite Belinda Carlisle song, and I'm not really a fan of Belinda Carlisle. But it is the song that's in my head right now. And if you know it, now it might be in your head. You're welcome. Harry Partridge, aren't you the Dr. Bees guy? He is. The rest of this episode is just going to be people complimenting Harry. That's okay. You're going to chase him away. No, if you've seen the comic tropes profile pic that I use in social media, that was a commission by Harry. He's a wonderful artist. Many of you out there are also wonderful artists, though. I am having so much fun throughout Inktober using these brush pens that it really does highlight to me the fact that I need to start using an actual real brush. Because I have done that before, and the control and the results that you can get from an actual brush are they're just lovely. What brush pen are you using? Asks Keith Thomas. Pigma medium brush from Sakura. It's pretty good. I think it like holds together fairly well before it starts to split on me. So yeah, it's a brush that I like a lot. But brush pens don't last all that long when you really start using them. Like I've bought several in just the month that I've been doing Inktober. I have to keep buying new brush pens. Anja asks, what do you think of Bill Willingham, Mark Buckingham collaboration? They're fantastic. They're a great team. I think Fables is great, and I'd actually say that it's underrated. I feel like that was a book that got a lot of attention when it first came out, and then for some reason people sort of stopped talking about it. And I don't think that the critical response ever went sour. I think that it always stayed really strong. So I think it's just that like that show Once Upon a Time kind of took its thunder because it started to do the same sort of idea, and not as well, in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, they were great. Michael Wisman says, just joined. What's the theme today? The theme is furious. Therefore, I'm drawing a vehicle from the Fast and Furious movies, which are not at all good, but I also kind of like them. Especially once they got really ridiculous. Like by the sixth movie, they're essentially superheroes. The sixth movie was just the most fun of the whole series. Like they're all fun, but the sixth is hilarious. I don't remember if it was five or six now actually, where they had to recruit a team, and it's probably like Vin Diesel going like, we need to get a team. We need to get a master of disguise. Like, or no, he's like, we need to get a fast talker, someone that can get in and out of any situation. And there's like one of the car drivers, and they're like, we need a tech guy, a guy who knows computers inside and out. And it's another car driver. Like, they're like listing off all these different qualifications you'd need to pull off a heist. And the whole team is just, oh, it's the same people we've always seen. And what they do really well is they all drive a car well. So it's not like he's acting like they've all got specialized talents. They all just drive a car. And every scene where they're heroic, it's all of them driving a car. Oh, it cracks me up. Milos says he likes 5 and the others are cheesy. Well, I mean, everybody has a different take, I think, on which one is their favorite. I think overall mine is 6. God damn, it's ridiculous. They have a chase scene in that one where they're going after an airplane on a runway, and the chase scene lasts maybe 20, 30 minutes. And the whole time the airplane is trying to take off. So if you're on a runway for 20 to 30 minutes, I've got news for you. You just traveled from Boston to DC. Something like that. It was crazy. They don't care. They're just having fun. I saved myself this time by drawing something that has lots and lots of black. What else is being asked? Sigamigs joins and says, have you heard of Aero Guru, Chris? No, I guess I haven't. Aero Guru? What is it? Like a food? A creator? A drug? Hope it's not a drug. Are you guys advocating drugs? I've heard that those things are bad. I just don't know. I think it's a drug, isn't it? It's probably that new drug that kids use where they take a microphone and they shout into it really loud so it gets them really high. We all know that drug. I just made that up. There's no such thing. Sure, I had you going, though. And remember, stay tuned, because at the end, and I have this head of Vin Diesel shout out something really, really clever. Like, just mind-blowingly funny. Just can't build it up enough. I don't have an idea yet, but when I put it in, wow, everybody's going to be in for a treat. Alright, so I now have at least the overall outline and most of the blacks spotted, so that's good. Let's see. Jack Curlio joins, and he says, when in doubt, black it out, yo. I like that advice. Sigmig says, it's a Japanese art style that means erotic and grotesque. Ah, that makes me think of Junji Ito. A very talented horror comics creator in Japan. Very, very singular vision, but he probably uses assistants for backgrounds and stuff. That's the life, huh? Just getting to draw the fun stuff? Have assistants draw your backgrounds? To be honest, I'd hate to have that, like, literally taken away from me, because sometimes I think it's really fun to draw architecture. So, Milos says, I am familiar with Junji Ito. No one does it like him. Yeah, there's something about him, because I can't just look at an illustration by him and say, well, that looks great. Like, his style is fine. It's not bad, but it's also not something that I'd proclaim as fantastic. But instead, it's his ideas and his pacing where he really excels. He's very masterful at making things just incredible. This is not doing well, this pen. Oops. Maybe I don't treat my pens well. I don't know. I wouldn't say that I enjoy drawing cars, actually. I would say that, like, I'm doing this as just sort of like something you got to do every once in a while. You can't just totally sleep on the stuff that you don't like to draw. Just trying to find the fun in it where I can, and certain shading areas, but or the technical details. But overall, I don't love drawing cars. It's too easy to mess up. Milosh asks, do I play D&D by any chance? Yes, actually, and I only really discovered it about 2 years ago. I mean, I was aware that it existed, but I didn't play it until 2 years ago when I was invited to do so by some local friends. And I said, sure, I'll give it a shot. And I like it quite a bit. In fact, it's why I'm recording now instead of 2 hours from now, like the sort of usual time that I've been doing. I'm going over to play some D&D with some friends. So, yeah, I do play a bit of it. I I tend to by default not look to fight, but rather talk things out with everything I come across, which frequently leads to me getting beaten up quite badly. Yeah. Haven't learned my lesson yet. Wish I'd discovered it earlier. Wish I'd given it a try in, I don't know, high school or something like that, or college. I think I would have had a lot of fun. Michael says, I also started playing D&D 3 years ago with some friends I met at a local hobby shop. 5e is really fun and relatively easy to get into. I'm pretty sure that's the version I'm playing. Whatever the most recent one is. Or was recent 2.5 years ago. So I think that's what I'm playing. I'm not the dungeon master. And Michael says that he's kind of the opposite of what I just described. He rushes into battle. My character is got high charisma, and I always try to use that to just like talk my way out of things. Every once in a while it'll work. Mostly it just tends to make non-playable characters mad at me. Whatever. Let's see. Milosh says, you retweeted my ninja drawing of a ninja. Thanks, man. I was curious why I got so many likes. Oh, I'm glad you did. It was quite a good illustration. Is it any particular ninja that you were drawing, or just a ninja? I still have Circle in the Sand going through my head constantly. I'm just trying to think of like any other song, and that thing is just on a loop in my brain. Jeez. I'm putting it off because I don't want to like mess up, but at some point I got to get to these headlights. Michael asks, do I have an Instagram page? I do. I'm not tremendously active on it. I feel like I've just never picked up Instagram as my, what do you call it, social media platform of choice. So I don't really post a lot of art or anything there. Just sort of every once in a while I'm like, oh, right, I've got Instagram. I'm not even sure if I remember what my screen name is, but it's probably Chris Piers, my full name. Probably. I can smell pot roast. Chrissy's cooking pot roast. Ooh, the house smells good. Wow, Milos, look. Harry says that your ninja drawing is great. That's nice. No, he did a really good job on that. You'll have to should post more artwork. Let's see what you. Milos, am I remembering correctly? Are you from Serbia? If I am, I remember I once tried to do a project of seeing like what other countries had a big comic scene, and my understanding was Serbia did not have a big comic scene, but maybe they imported a fair amount from Italy. Tell me if I've got that right. Maybe I have it all wrong. Oh, it's correct. Interesting. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Marcelo joins us and says, "Holy shit! If that's the real Harry Partridge, goddamn, you are an inspiration." It's not. This is the Harry Partridge that is actually part of Partridge Cookies. I met Harry a long time ago when we both worked in the warehouse at Partridge Cookies. Or maybe it's the real Harry Partridge. If that impresses you, Vin Diesel himself will be joining the chat room in 20 minutes. Milos says that in Serbia they import a ton of comics from France, Italy, the UK, and a bit from Belgium. Wow. Marcelo says that his hearth stopped for a second, but I'm going to assume that he meant his heart, because if his hearth stopped, he's probably getting quite cold right about now. Yeah. Sorry, I'm thinking something out here. He is the real Harry you can see from his checkmark. Yep. That's what most of us working artists are working towards, too. It's the checkmark. My understanding is once you have a checkmark, the world is your oyster. I really appreciate everybody stopping by, taking some time to chat. I know there's a lot more you could be doing with weekend day, and it sincerely makes me quite happy that anyone is willing to spend a few minutes hanging out here. So thank you all. You guys are all the best. Since I'm drawing a car, let me ask this. If you were suddenly wealthy and you could buy whatever dream car you wanted that's real, what would you choose? I think I would like to get myself a Tesla. I know that's maybe not as exciting as, I don't know, like a Countach or something like that, but I think I would really like to have a Tesla if I were the kind of person that has a check mark by my name. What about you out there? What would be your dream car? Money was no object. Harry says the world is his fish cake. And Milos points out that Italian comics are very popular in Serbia. That's interesting. JQYT joins and says, nice drawing. Does anyone actually read this chat? Well, everybody that's in it seems to keep up with it, and I try to read as much of it as I can for those that watch this video later when it's archived. Milos says it's quite relaxing and it's an inspiration for his drawing. Geek Workshop says he'd buy a DeLorean. Not surprised to see somebody say that. Milos says that he'd like to get the car from Blade's movie, which would be a 1968 Dodge Charger, and maybe Mr. Bean's car too. Michael Wisman says, not aiming too high, but I'd really like a cherry red Corvette. Yeah, that would be nice. Chrissy says, I started singing the Saved by the Bell theme song, and it completely got rid of the other song. Oh, okay. See, I had a song stuck in my head, Belinda Carlisle's Circle in the Sand. So I'm going to, in my mind, think of the Saved by the Bell song to get rid of it. Julio would get the Batmobile. Which one? 1966, 1989, 2008, 2016? Marcelo just says Dominic Toretto. JQYT says, what's your opinion on Godzilla Mendoza hitting 35,000 subs? Pisses me off. That kid, how dare he earn those 35,000 subs. It keeps me up at night thinking about him and those 35,000 subs. No, it's great. He's a good guy. He knows his comics. He really does. He knows a lot about not just Spider-Man. He knows a lot of Marvel stuff, especially. I like him. I'm glad that we got to know each other. And we've got some ideas for collaboration in the future, here and there. So I'm happy for him. To answer your question seriously, which I hate doing. I hate being serious. The world sucks. The least I can do is be sarcastic and bitter all the time. It's the least that the world can give me. Jack Curleo says that he'd want a 1982 Ford Pinto. Gotta love the gas tank being in the back. Explosive rear ending. Absolutely. You want to drive around in something that's got some danger to it, right? Who wants a boring old sports car when you can have one that's constant risk of blowing up if you ever get rear-ended? Through no fault of your own, your car may just explode. You know, that makes me wonder, have all of those cars been pulled successfully by Ford, or are there still Ford Pintos out on the road for sale? I wonder. They must not be. But I don't know. But maybe? Ooh, a collab between you and GM. Interesting. Well, he's popped up in 2 of my videos before, so yeah. Michael says that he'd like the Batman Returns Batmobile. Yeah, because that one is nice and claustrophobic. That's one where you're like, wait, how is Batman even fitting in that with his ears? But I'm joking, but it does look cool. And there was no question that, you know, in 1989, 1991, etc., like I was just like, oh, Batmobile's awesome. That's so cool. In 89, when I saw the first Batman, I didn't really know about James Bond. That was something I ended up getting into in the early 90s. Like, I love James Bond personally. But so I didn't really know about it. So like the idea of this car with all these gadgets was like, oh my gosh, that's the best car ever. It can do so much. You know, up till then, the most gadget-laden car I'd seen was Kit from Knight Rider. And he kind of always did the same stuff. You know, he's like, hey, Michael, do you want me to engage the turbo boost? And he's like, no, that wouldn't really help in this situation. Thanks anyway, Kit. It's like, well, if you change your mind, I do have the turbo boost, so, you know, Just let me know. I can also swap our license plates. No, that's okay, kid. Just gonna drive to lunch, thanks. But appreciate the options, buddy. He really didn't have anything else. He had turbo boost. That was his one ability. Okay. Let's see. Julio says, really looking forward to the Lock and Key episode. It's one of the few comics that made me cry. Yeah, I don't know when I'll get to that. It's not anytime soon, but it is something I would love to cover. Yeah, we'll see. Man, I remember a few years ago they filmed a pilot for it, and trying to remember. The director was the guy who did the American version of Let the Right One In. His name's eluding me right now, but you know, a pretty good director. And they got Nick Stahl to play like one of the main characters. Now, Nick Stahl, he hasn't really been in that much, but the most famous is probably that he played John Connor in Terminator 3. So this wasn't too much longer after that. He also played the Yellow Bastard in the Sin City movie adaptation. So anyway, the pilot didn't get picked up, and it was like, I feel like it was like a week later, the dude just disappeared, and everyone was like worried that he had killed himself, but no, he'd just gone on some sort of really bad drug bender. That guy has fallen apart, unfortunately. His life is just not good. You do not hear about that actor much anymore. I wonder what things would have been like if the Lock and Key pilot had been picked up and he would have had that sort of regular job. I wonder. JQYT says, did you happen to catch my interview with Godzilla Mendoza? No, I'm sorry. I'm not aware of that. Is that like you've got a YouTube channel? I apologize. I did not realize that. An average comic book channel asks what I'm drawing. It's a car. Oh, people are explaining. Yeah. An average comic book channel says, oh, okay, I have never watched any of the Fast and Furious movies. It's an interesting way to have said it. Well, I kind of like them. And today's Inktober prompt word was furious. So it made me think of the Fast and the Furious. So I'm drawing one of the iconic cars from that, a 1970 Dodge Charger. It is really raining outside today here. I'm working with my small technical ink pen. It's pretty small. You do have one that's slightly finer, but I don't think I need it for this. I'm doing the letters in the grill. I want them to be legible, even after they're surrounded by a bunch of black. Because that's one of the signifiers of exactly what car this is. RT. Mostly got it. Enough. It's fine to mention it, JQ. I do not mind at all. I'm curious to see your interview with him. Julio points out that they're making a new pilot on Lock and Key. Yeah, I'm aware. I hope it's good. An average comic book channel says, I think your drawing skills and inking skills have improved. Maybe, I don't know. That would be nice. What's your favorite Vin Diesel movie, excluding, of course, Saving Private Ryan? Mine are Riddick 3 and Find Me Guilty, and last but not least, The Iron Giant. I would say that Pitch Black was quite good. That's the original movie that he appears as Riddick in. It's a good low-budget alien type ripoff. It's pretty good. It's pretty entertaining. The Iron Giant is a good movie. Brad Bird is a good director. Yeah, he made a nice movie there. Of course, he voices Groot. Guardians of the Galaxy are really good movies. But if we're talking about a movie, like a good movie starring Vin Diesel, before he really became an action star, he did show up in a lot of dramas and smaller roles, and among them was a movie called Boilermaker about selling stocks and dealing with short stocks and stuff like that. And he was actually really, really good in that. Boilermaker, yeah. I'd put that up there as one of his better movies. For his performance, anyway. Pitch Black is great, but boy, it did not stand the test of time. Oh, is that so? I guess I haven't watched that one in quite a while. Huh. All right. Well, it's been a long time since I've watched that one, so I don't know. Let me finish up these windows. I guess I forgot that I left this. Thought that I'd finished up here. I didn't. I probably have to leave in, well, within half an hour. I have to take off, but we'll see if I can finish this within that time. That's part of why I'm doing this, is to try to work on my speed, you know, not to go too slow. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, well, why am I beating myself up to do this, you know? I don't need to be a good artist for anything. That's not my job. But I love drawing, so I'd rather be good at it than not. I don't know that I have much in the way of natural talent, but at least I'm willing to work to try to get better. How long has this stream been going? Just over an hour. Just a notch over an hour. Let's see. Michael Wisman says, just reminding you in case you forgot, the DC Icons Batgirl figure is dope. Yeah, since I got laid off on Thursday, I'm not going to be buying myself any action figures on anytime soon, unfortunately. If you hadn't heard, no real warning. Just like we came in on Thursday, and apparently the company wasn't doing as well as I thought, and they laid a third of us off. Just budget cuts. So that was fun. So I don't really have disposable income for anything fun right now. So I'm grateful for the people that are on my Patreon page, because I've always sort of set that money aside for just the show, and I kind of will, in order to keep making the show, I'll actually need that at this point. I mean, it was sort of offsetting some of my investment in the show. I was still technically not making any money, but I was coming close to breaking even, which is fine. But now I'm actually going to really need to use that money from Patreon to buy the comics that I'm reviewing on the episodes, because don't really have any extra disposable income until I get my next job. And hopefully it won't be long, hopefully I find something really fast. But in the meantime, that's the latest this week. So it's not been a great week. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Michael. I wasn't necessarily trying to push for money right there, but that's pretty cool. That's really kind of you. I will put that to use on the show, getting comics that I need to review, and that's really appreciated. Thank you. You didn't have to do that. It's very kind. Yeah, was not expecting that. Fortunately, the director and the vice president both, took me aside and said, "Hey, you did an excellent job, blah blah blah," and they're both willing to write me recommendations, which counts for something when you're going for your next job, to have people at that high level say something nice about you. But still, would have been nicer just to keep the job, thanks. Now, JQ, it's okay. I'm not asking for, what is laid off? Did you get fired? Not exactly. Fired is like you've done something wrong, so they fired you. Maybe you said something inappropriate, or you made a big mistake in your job. Something like that gets you fired. I didn't do anything like that. I laid off is like when they cut a bunch of the workforce because the company needs to cut its costs to stay in business. And I'm part of a really, or I was part of a really big company, so sometimes they'll just make really big department cuts and shuffle around responsibilities and outsource stuff to foreign countries where it's cheaper. I don't know. I don't know what their plans are, since I'm not with them now. But yeah, laid off means you lost your job, but it's through no fault of your own. And it's an important distinction, because it means you're eligible for unemployment. That can, like, your company pays money into a fund while you're working for them, and in between your jobs, you can get that money, so it helps you, pay your bills until you get your next job. Anyway, do you have saved money to use so that you can have your basic needs? Uh, no, I don't have anything in savings right now. Because, well, because I had been laid off from my last job. The same thing. They made big budget cuts, and I used up my savings, which were significant. I had to use up my savings during that period of time, getting the last job that I had, and I haven't been at this one long enough to really accumulate much in savings. It's frustrating, but it'll be okay. It'll be okay. I'll get a new job fast. I'd love to be able to do like something artistic for a living, but I got a degree. I went to college. My background is in marketing, and I'll be able to find something. Someone will need my skills. And if not, I was thinking of opening a detective agency that specializes in hunting down vampires. So I've always got that as a backup. JQ, it's fine. You don't need to tell people to donate to me. It really is okay. I'm not destitute. I'll be okay. I will get another job. Uh, my fiance, we live together. She's still got her job. So we're okay. We're fine. That's nice of you. I understand where you're coming from, but trust me, I am okay. I just don't have lots of discretionary income for doing things like movies or an action figure or something like that. I can't really do that right now, but I can pay my bills. I could pay my rent and my car, etc. I could always probably sell my car if I was desperate. Uh, sell some of my toys and stuff. I don't really need them, so see. Don't worry, I'm fine. Sigmig says, just wondering if is there a new schedule for the live stream? Not really. I just had to do this earlier because I've got plans with my friends for the weekend. But I think tomorrow I should be back on my regular schedule. What if the company becomes in great shape again? Do you think you will get your job back? That's not really how it works. No. And I don't think I'd want to go back to a place that was willing to let me go. If they don't understand my value, I don't really want to work for them anymore. Now, I worked with some great people. I really liked them. But as a company, they did make the decision that they could let me go. And yeah, so if they were like, hey, we have the job anyway, I'd have to really think about that. Like, I would not want to have to do that. I would prefer to go somewhere where I feel more appreciated. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, so I had been laid off from a previous job that I'd worked at for 3 years. Moved across the country for that job because it was a step up in responsibility and pay, and it was a good opportunity. I loved working at that company, but they are also a massive organization where decisions come from way higher up that certain departments will be slimmed down, and I got eliminated. And that was why I started Comic Tropes. I was quite depressed at the time, and I knew I needed a project to stay busy and feel worthwhile. So I started the project for that particular reason. So it's good to have it already set up and have so many nice viewers this time around. It's fine. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. All right. See ya, Average Comic Book Channel. Thanks for stopping by. That was an interesting series of questions. Do the rest of you know what the difference is between being fired and being laid off? I didn't expect to have to explain that, but maybe that's naive of me. I thought most people understood what that was. Guess what, kids? You'll figure it out. What a wonderful world. Oh, it's a wonderful world. Maybe it's an American term. Yeah, maybe it is. I guess it must be. Michael says, do you read any current manga? For example, I keep up with One Punch Man and My Hero Academia. Yes. Well, semi-current. I read Bakuman, which is the story of two teenagers trying to become professional manga artists. It's a very realistic type of story. I read some stuff by Junji Ito, some horror comics by him. I read Master Keaton by Naoki Urasawa. I think that's about it. Those three right now. We'll see how many issues I can get now, but I guess if you look at all those, they're way more sort of realistic, grounded type stories. I think that's just sort of where my interests lie these days. Well, I don't know if I'll quite be able to finish this. I'm close, but I don't know if got the time. Let's see, what time is it? No, I got a little time. Probably need to leave in about 20 minutes. So we'll see if I can finish this in 20 minutes. I don't know. I don't know. Lobo knows what it is to be laid off twice. I'm sorry, man. That's it's no fun. It's like it's not your fault, you know. So it's quite miserable. I wish they'd at least sort of said that this was something the company was even considering, because you have to imagine that, like, you know, the board was talking about this for a while, but it was never relayed to us that this was on the table. Oh well. Well, I'm having fun with this drawing, I have to say. Didn't think I would, because I generally do not like drawing vehicles. I find it kind of boring, but I'm actually kind of enjoying this. I think I tend to enjoy it when I'm like most of the way through and I haven't made any glaring mistakes. Then I start to feel kind of good and a little nervous. take a look at the chat room in just a sec. All right, let's see. How did you react to Paul Walker's death? Yeah, it was a bummer. I didn't know the guy, so apparently he was driving pretty fast for fun, which probably should have known better. I mean, it's a tragedy, but there are levels to tragedy, you know? Like, I think there's an actor, Anton Yelchin, and I did a ton of great stuff like Green Room by Jeremy Saulnier. A lot of people would know him as Chekhov in the current Star Trek movies. That guy came home one day to check his mail, got out of his car, put the parking brake on, and it let go, and it rolled back, and it crushed him. I consider that more of a tragedy than like driving really fast and losing control of your car. You know what I mean? It's like I can still be bummed out that the actor's gone, but I'm like, kind of made that choice himself. Hope that doesn't seem too mean-spirited, because I definitely don't mean it to be. JQ, you can really stop. Like anybody that was gonna donate has, it's fine. Thank you though. Thank you. I think we're all doing fine. Appreciate the kind thought. Guess I've gone kind of quiet. Trying to think of what I can do to wrap this up in a satisfying way. If I didn't have somewhere to go, I would definitely want to just hang out and finish this. So, Anybody get into any kung fu battles lately? Just walking down the street, get insulted by someone, start fighting for your honor? It happens, right? Oh, JQ says that he was in a kung fu battle this morning. Yep, that happens. Are you the only one left? I think that it might be down to just you and me, JQ. I think I may have driven everybody off today. Uh, Probably not my most engaging. Maybe people didn't want to hear about being laid off. I don't know. I don't know. I think the reason why I'm intimidated to draw a car is even if you're not a car expert, you know when a car doesn't look right. It's something that we see every single day. So when a car isn't drawn well, when it's just too simplified or something, people are like, that doesn't look right. And so, yeah, I want to. They're intimidating because you got to get it right. Oh, hi, Shirley. Wow, okay, never mind. Harry's here, Charles is here, Michael's here, Shirley's here. Lots of people are here. Hello, Keith. Okay, thanks all. Thought thought I'd scared some people off, but fortunately that is not the case. Nice to see everybody still. I don't know. We'll feather that a little. Next time I'll write way more jokes because I want to keep you guys entertained, and I know the art won't always do it. So you know, I'll have more jokes. I'll have more jokes. Cars are a pain because everything needs to maintain the same perspective, and with some exceptions in American 60s, 70s, there are awkward shapes and lots of details, at least for me. Yeah, I think that the trick is first you sort of like sketch out an actual box in perspective because, you know, it's going to fit within that box, and then you sort of work from there. That's my kind of take. And then I like when it comes down to like areas like engines, I'll reference that pretty thoroughly. I'll like start reading what engines go with what cars so that I am not making an obvious mistake. But then I'll also like take areas like this tire, and some of this wheel detail is kind of actually just made up just based on like I'm like, okay, all you'd see are like sort of hints of reflections and stuff, so I'm not gonna necessarily knock myself out getting it all right. I'll get the basic shape of the tire right, because every tire has a different, what do you even call that, like sort of wheel well area. Maybe it is just called the wheel well, I don't know. um, you want to get the main stuff right, but then you can just sort of, if it's in shadow, Just throw in random highlights, and if it's not, you have to like think that through as to what you want to indicate and what you don't. But some of this is basically made up, is what I'm saying. Oof. If I can finish this tire, I think I can draw Vin Diesel's face pretty fast and leave you with a really hilarious, just bonkers comment by him. That'll really make it worth your while that you've stayed this long. And I think I'm going to be able to do that. Let's just throw all this in black. I think that's fair. Did you ever go to art school? Asks Charles. No, I didn't. I didn't know what I wanted to study, and I ended up studying business. Whatever. Marketing specifically. I thought that got me into advertising, but marketing is more just like the director that tells people what to do almost. So I spent a while in my career when I first, got into the workforce, doing a lot of freelance graphic design, so that I could do more graphic design. And I did for a long time, for like over 10 years. I did a lot of graphic design in my jobs, and I liked that. But then you just sort of slowly evolve into more and more responsibility. So that's sort of where I am now. But no, I didn't go to art school. I've taken art classes, and I like to go to like live drawing events every once in a while, like a drink and draw or a Dr. Sketchies. But that's about it. I'm going to go pretty simple on these facial details. I just want to throw Vin Diesel's head in to make it obvious that this theme is furious. By the way, looking at his face today, I was like, oh my gosh, he's got sort of a weird shaped bald head. It's way rounder than I expected it to be. If you look at somebody like Patrick Stewart, his head has almost like a point to it. It's got some definition. Vin Diesel's is like kind of weird. It's very very round. Sigmig says, where does pretty good come from? Yeah, I do tend to say that a lot. It comes from the show Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry David, co-creator of Seinfeld. He's got his own sitcom that's loosely based on his life. Kind of like a more adult version of Seinfeld, I suppose. And it's just something he says, and I have adopted it. Just sounds good to me. All right, here we go. Michael's heading out. Well, you're gonna miss this hilarious joke that I've been building up and building up. This is the moment, folks. This is what it's all about. We're gonna get to Vin Diesel's hilarious joke. I hope you're ready. I'm gonna cover it up. Wait a minute. I need to think for a second. Okay. I'll reveal this when I'm done. And I'm going to give credit for this joke to my pal, Matty Field. He's the first one that told this to me, but it's funny. As long as you're familiar with the Fast and the Furious to some degree. Oh, here we go. Don't expect the word balloon to be too good.
Olive Garden, when you're here, your family. When you hear your family, family. I'm Vin Diesel. Family.
All right, folks. I have to take off. I'm going to see some friends. Thank you for sticking with me. Again, the word today, the prompt was furious. So I drew a 1970 Dodge Charger. About an hour and a half. Okay. Yeah, no, come on. It was never going to be a good joke. I didn't even know what I was going to write until the very last minute. I was building that up because I knew I didn't have anything. All right, I had fun talking to everybody. Thank you very much for stopping into the chat. I will be live streaming again tomorrow, and yeah, appreciate everybody's questions and keeping me going. Until I see you again, keep reading comics.